The USPS screwed me over once again as they lost hundreds of dollars of my comics in the mail. But thankfully, after a lot of headache and hassle and red tape, they were finally able to hunt them down and get them to me. But I wanted to tell you a little bit of the story, first of all, just so that I can get this off of my chest and move forward with my life, but also so that you can learn a little bit about what I had to do to finally get my comic books so that you can know what you should do if you find yourself in a similar situation. And then at the end, I'm going to show off some of my favorite comics that finally got here that I am excited about having in my collection. Now, there were tons of twists and turns to this story, so I actually printed out this long tracking history of what happened because I want to make sure I get all the details right. So, to start off with, the comics got shipped from Bedford Park, Illinois on February 26th, and the tracking said that they were due to arrive here in Charlottesville, Virginia on March the 1st. So I woke up on March the 1st, checked the tracking history, excited about all these comics that were going to get here, and saw that they had just arrived in Richmond, Virginia, which is about an hour away, early that morning. But tracking still said that they were due to get here in Charlottesville, Virginia by 9 o'clock that night, but I was a bit skeptical. But yeah, it wasn't that big a deal. I figured, well, actually, they'll get here in Charlottesville later today, and unfortunately, it's a Saturday, so I'm not going to get them tomorrow either, but certainly Monday the 3rd, I will probably get them. So, of course, indeed, they don't arrive that day. And so tracking says, oh, yeah, it's going to be delivered later than usual. And I'm like, all right, well, that's annoying, but not a big deal. So the 3rd rolls around, still no comics in my mail. And so I went to check tracking, and all of a sudden now it says, going to come later than expected. March the 5th is when they'll arrive. And I'm like, March the 5th? Why does it take 4 days to get from Richmond to Charlottesville and then to get me my comics? It was just weird, and I was like, well, this stinks, but okay, tracking's being updated. They're going to get here. All right, March 5th comes. Still no comics come in the mail that day, and so I go and check tracking again. And there's an update for that day, March 5th, in transit. I'm like, in transit now? Why were they not in transit March the 1st? March the 3rd, March the 4th. Why just now are they on the way? This is annoying. But it means they should get in Charlottesville tonight, and on the 6th, I should finally have my box of comics. Well, I check on the 6th. No comics get here. The tracking still says in transit. In transit? How long does it take to get from Richmond to Charlottesville? This is crazy. Day after day after day continues to go on, and it still says these comics are in transit. And so obviously by this point I'm starting to get pretty nervous, and I'm like, oh shoot, this box, something is wrong. And so I go to the USPS website to fill out a missing mail search form. And when I get there, I find out USPS asks me first if I would consider filling out a help request form before elevating it up all the way to missing mail. And I didn't have to do that, but they asked me to. And so as I talked about a couple of videos ago, I try to be a nice guy. Even though a number of people in the comments don't believe I'm a nice guy, I try. And so I said, sure, I'll fill out this form first. And so it takes several minutes to fill it out. And then I try to submit it. And I get this message that says, there is a problem submitting your service request. Please try again later. And I'm like, well, that's super annoying. And so I was like, well, hopefully just the website's down. So I try again about 15 minutes later. You get the same message. And I'm like, I just can't spend all day doing this. Now, if I weren't a nice guy, I would just go straight to that missing mail form. But I'm like, I want to do what USPS is asking me. I want to be a stand-up guy, you idiot. I talked about why nice guys finish last a couple of videos ago. And so I did that. I came back the next day, tried to fill out the form, same message, and then the next day got the same message again. And I said, "There's what the heck is going on?" And so then I Googled, well, this message came up, what do I do? And I found out what a lot of people have had the same kind of problem. And so when you're filling out the form, right at the end, it asks you if you know what is in the box. Of course, I knew what was in the box. There's a bunch of comics. And so you click yes. And then it brings up maybe like the top 20 categories of things that would be in a box, and comics aren't one of those. And then at the very end, it just has other, and then a little box where you put what the other is. So I clicked that, and that's how I filled out the form. But everybody online said, actually, if what you're requesting doesn't fit in those 20 categories, you just need to say you don't know what's in the box. And so I filled it out again. This time I put, don't know what's in the box. Boom, form went through. I mean, how frustrating is that? I wasted several days, a lot of my time, and just the stress, again, of knowing these comics aren't here, to fill out this stupid form, and then and I get punished for filling it out correctly. So I have to, technically, I guess I had to tell a lie to say, I don't know what's in that box, so that this form would go through. But finally went through, and I said, all right, well, we're getting there. We're going to do something here. Well, about 24 hours later, I get an email from the local USPS representative. It said, we didn't see it here in Charlottesville. You need to go ahead and fill out that mail search form. Oh my goodness, so frustrating, because it seemed like everything I'd gone through the first few days of trying to find this package was just worthless. That help request form, I guess it just means that someone locally just checks in the back to make sure it's not here locally. So they gave like 0 time to it. I mean, I guess somebody did check here in Charlottesville. Wasn't here. So then I went and filled out the missing mail search form. Well, this was on March the 12th, and finally, tracking was updated from being in transit for March the 5th to March the 12th, now saying that a missing mail search request has been initiated. I mean, it's frustrating. You would think if a package was listed in transit for a week in an hour away from its final destination, that something in their system would just automatically trigger. I guess I'm just a wishful thinker, just naive. Didn't happen. So March 12th, though, they at least acknowledged with tracking that they're going to be looking for my mail. All right, March 13th rolls around. Nothing happens. March 14th gets here, and it says, oh my goodness, at 3:06 p.m., it has departed the Richmond Distribution Center. So I guess it never was actually on the way at all, which blows my mind. That meant for over a week, I guess almost 2 weeks, it was just sitting in the Richmond post office. And I mean, obviously the USPS handles a huge volume of mail, but I still don't see how can a package just be sitting there for 2 weeks and somebody not notice. I mean, where is this thing sitting at? Is there just a room for packages that aren't being delivered? I don't know. But anyway, March 14th, it says, finally departing Richmond. Hallelujah. My comics, I think, are on the way. And then just a little over an hour later, it says it's arrived in Charlottesville, 4:59 p.m. Oh, heck yes. All right. They're here tomorrow. Certainly they're going to be delivered. So I look. So 3:06, they depart Richmond. 4:59, they arrive in Charlottesville. But lo and behold, at 5:54, just another hour later, they depart Charlottesville. Well, why are they leaving here? They're finally here. And then they arrive that night back in Richmond. So they sent them from Richmond to Charlottesville finally, and then just back from Charlottesville to Richmond. What in the heck is going on? At this point, I'm like, am I just being gaslit? Have these things definitely been lost? And I'm just like, the USPS is just trying to stall for time by updating my tracking and hoping I'll just go away? And so I'm like, all right, you've got to be freaking kidding me. So they arrive at Richmond at 7:18. Well, 7:31, they leave Richmond. And then they arrive back in Charlottesville at 4:55 a.m. So 3:06, leave Richmond. 4:59, get in Charlottesville. The 5:54, leave Charlottesville. 7:18, get to Richmond. 7:31, leave Richmond. 4:55 in the morning, arrive at Charlottesville. And then the next morning, 7:29 a.m., I see they're out for delivery. Could it be true? Could it be true? At 9:59, they arrive. My comics are here, safe and sound, after 2.5 weeks of stress and headache and red tape. I now have some awesome comics, and I'm going to show you my favorite ones. Now, most of these are horror comics, and I'm planning to sell a few of them so that I can basically break even on the deal. If you watch my channeling, and that's what I try to do, buying lots, sell a few so that it's more or less of a wash to me financially in exchange for the time that I spent for selling. Obviously, I have a bunch of cool books to add to my collection, but I haven't decided exactly which ones I'm going to keep. So please tell me in the comments below which of these you like the most so that you can help me make a good decision. And the only one that I know for sure that I'm going to keep is this one, House of Secrets number 114. So one of the themes that you're going to see throughout this stack of books that are my favorite out of the lot that I bought is that I really love skeleton covers. But I love not only skeleton covers, I also really love sports. And so blending both skeletons and sports in this cover is just awesome to me. You've got this obviously girl ice skater being chased by a skeleton hockey team. I mean, super awesome, super cool, super happy to be able to just look at this cover whenever I want. Now, another cool skeleton cover is this one, House of Mystery number 288. And again, I just love when things kind of combine. So you've obviously got the skeleton here, but you've also got music. He's playing his flute, his pipe, with his little leg bone or whatever it is. Super cool. It's in the contender definitely to be a keeper. Then another skeleton cover, Witching Hour number 54. You've got this bad guy here. It looks like he's going to mug this guy, but doesn't realize, it's a skeleton man. And it says the corpse held a winning hand. And so I don't think it's going to go quite as well for the bad guy as he's thinking. And then the final skeleton cover that I'll show you, Witching Hour number 78. And it's got these people coming to visit this wax museum, but the wax is melting. And, well, it's not just wax, but these look like skeletons, dead bodies beneath. Holy cow, what are we going to do? So we have House of Mystery number 214, which is a Bernie Wrightson cover. And you've obviously got this dude with people fingers. I don't know what's going on there. I haven't read any of these yet. I'll certainly look through them before I sell them. And then you have House of Mystery number 189, which is a Neil Adams cover. And I like this one a little bit better. It's got the black cat. That's obviously a famous horror trope that I like. And you could talk me into keeping this one and maybe selling some of those skeleton covers. What do you think? What should I do? And finally, the other one that I will probably sell, I think it's the most valuable of all of these. It's not a horror book, but it's another Neil Adams cover. Detective Comics number 415. Anytime you have Neil Adams and Batman, there's a lot of demand for it. But tell me, which of those comics are your favorites? Which ones would you be happy to get rid of? Well, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so now. Like, comment, thank you.